This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Welcome to the Supreme Resort, Land v. World, a podcast about Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and which is the Supreme Resort. Each episode, we will discuss and explore each resort, ride by ride, land by land, park by park, to determine which is better. I'm your host, Jimmy, and thank you for joining me on this quest to help the greater good of humanity answer this long, elusive question, which is better, Disneyland or Walt Disney World? Joining me, as always, is Dan.
Hi, I'm Dan. I think it's really important. I just want to of cable. I think Spectrum is the best that you can get. Spectrum cable for Spectrum is.
There's so much irony in that, Dan, if you only knew from our end. And because I presume you're talking about Spectrum cable, we heard every other word. Okay. Eric is also here. Hi, Eric. How do you feel about Spectrum cable?
I don't have Spectrum cable, but Danny totally fell for it.
Wow.
He fell for it. It's in the script.
Yeah. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. We're back. And we have some things to say. We have things to talk about. We're going to do a little bit of speculation, which I don't love to do on the show because it timestamps it a little bit, but we have a lot to say. Thank you again, Eric, for your time and energy in recording a couple episodes for Run Disney. If you have not listened to those episodes, please go back and listen. They're very informative and fun. And then we had David, who is our producer, come on and talk about his first trip to Disney World. We are back with this is the same show you know and love. And we are both, I think all three of us are excited about upcoming trips personally.
Yeah.
I have a trip coming up in June with Dan and Eric and all of the concierges. I think I mentioned it last time, but just in case you missed it, June the 9th, we will be at Disneyland Resort. We'll be in the parks the 10th and the 11th of June, and then the 12th, Dan and I will be at Knott's Berry Farm, followed by Medieval Times with Dan, Eric, and Audrey from Scraping the Vault. So if you are in that area and you want to say hi or connect with us, please reach out. You know how. And if you don't, then if it's fate, we'll see each other.
Yeah,
okay.
just keep showing up at Medieval Times and just keep saying, no, I've got friends joining me.
That's right.
I'm saving seats. I'm saving seats.
Works for me all the time when I go to Disneyland by myself.
Yeah. So I'm particularly excited. I had mentioned you've heard us talk for several years, folks, about various personal things. We don't try to get too deep into personal stuff other than just so you know us as people. I have kind of gone through a long back and forth with too much alcohol, and I gave it up December 17th, and I have not touched a lick since. And I'm awake for the first time in a very long time. And I'm looking around and some stuff I don't like. It's like,
and Jimmy,
boy.
Number one, too many cars on the street.
That's right.
If I understand correctly, you wanted to make the rest of this podcast about the Lord? Is that?
That's correct. I meant to mention I have found our Lord and Savior. And he has told me that all of the rest of you are heathens, Satanists. A Disney adult who goes by themselves is a spawn of Satan.
Damn right.
Anyway, so the point is that I have quit drinking, and it's been an interesting sort of 6 months of discovery and awakening. And one of the things I didn't really have was something like to look forward to that wasn't work or just, the day-to-day stuff, right? And so I have since planned 2 trips to Disneyland. One with my family, one with my other family, one with my chosen family.
Mm-hmm.
And what's
one
nice
is ours?
is Whatever you choose, Eric. But I guess what I'm excited about is, I go to bed at night. It's a little harder. Part of the reason I drank so much is to go to sleep, to shut off my brain. But now I've just kind of got this sense of comfort and excitement looking forward to these trips. Also going to Disneyland for the first time since I can remember, and not feeling like I have to drink, which is a really good feeling. And I said have to. And for those of you who may or may not struggle with alcohol, I think maybe you understand what that means.
Okay, I admit, every time we go, I will push Jimmy down onto a park bench and I will pour beer into his mouth. And
That's true.
It's really hard to see. Yeah.
It is uncomfortable. There are tears.
It's not even like frat boy fun. It's just unpleasant.
No. Yeah.
I'm basically waterboarding. Waterboarding Jimmy with beer.
And if my mouth is closed, he finds other ways to get it in.
That's right.
Anyway, but I guess my point is I'm very excited about it. I'm looking forward to going and being there with friends, people I love. And I'm very excited. So that's in June. And then again in July with my family. So Dan, do you have any trips coming up that you're excited about?
Oh boy, do I! I have a trip coming up this coming weekend for 3 days. Well, you shared, so I'll share. So some of the things that have been happening the past month that we have been less productive. One of the things that, again, we don't want to focus too much on our personal lives, but it's been brought up before that my dad had Alzheimer's. Little hint there. He no longer has Alzheimer's, which is the good news. And those of you who know how that happens can put it together that he is no longer with us. People who have listened to every single episode and know about our lives and whatnot, which is probably like 12 people, you know that was how him and I connected. It was maybe the only way we connected other than our ridiculous sense of humor.
It was Disneyland,
yeah. So yes, I'm going there, and I'm spending some time remembering times that we spent there together. He was very patient with me, and I appreciate that.
Isn't it interesting, Dan? This is like a Cats in the Cradle podcast now, because when I was a child, I'm one of 5. I'm the youngest of 5 children, and my dad would take each of the 5 kids on a trip to, with just dad and the kid. Yeah. And our trips were always Disneyland. Mm-hmm. What do you know about that? Eric, how about your father issues? Anyway, back to Dan real fast.
So anyway, just any of you who have, as people have communicated that they appreciate me sharing that aspect. And it's been a interesting month. And I don't feel like I need to get further into it for this.
Well, thank you for sharing, purposes. Dan. Dan's father was, when I was a teenager, I made questionable choices, and Dan's father was very instrumental to me as an adolescent. And I never went to Disneyland with him, but I will always have very strong and very powerful, joyful memories of Dan's father. As I got older and as Dan and I started hanging out, in fact, the times that I spent with Dan's dad, Dan and I were not friends. And we didn't like each other. It's possible. Anyway, so then as Dan and I became friends, we, of course, became friends through Disneyland. We both had annual passes, and amongst the few people that had them at the time. So we went together, and then I won't get into more details, but the origins of Scraping the Vault. Anyhow, I would sleep on his couch. You can put
it together.
Yeah.
You described it in Scraping the Vault.
Right.
So.
Yes, exactly. So listen to that show if you're curious what I mean. So I would sleep on the couch at Dan's house. Now, this is his father's house, and the couch is in the living room, and it's just adjacent to the kitchen. And we would stay up really late, make bad choices, and then his dad would come in for breakfast, as one does, and it's his house, and he has the right to do so. And he would always do the same thing, make coffee, and he would do some oatmeal, and he would clink on the bowl. Just clink, 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 clink. And I can't say anything because it's his house and I'm sleeping in his living room. Just clink, clink, clink.
And
clink,
it wasn't to try to wake you up. It was just, I'm not gonna change anything.
No, it's my house. I'm doing what I do. I do me. But God bless him. Anyway, he will be missed. And thank you for sharing, Dan. And in fact, a parting gift from Dan's dad is Dan, Eric, and I are taking a tour of tell us, Dan, the Lily Bell and what else?
We're going on a railroad tour together, funded by what was left behind, part of what was left behind by Dad. And this is also a part that I'm giving myself gifts this weekend from him and in like memory. It's something ridiculous, but like I'm going to Walt's apartment. He would want me to do that.
Nice. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And I know that he would, if he were here and thought of it, he would absolutely pay for the three of us to go on a tour of the Disneyland Railroad, which includes a ride, I think, maybe a ride, possibly just a tour of the Lily Bell. I don't really know much more about it, but that's something that's going to be happening, and maybe we'll work it into an episode or something.
Oh, that'd be great. I think we should. In fact, Eric will be bringing recording equipment, so I can almost guarantee, listener, that there will be some content from the Lily Bell and or that tour on one of the future episodes. And Eric, do you have any trips that you're excited about to Disneyland or Disney World?
You see, I don't have the rich history here with Disneyland or with you two, but
or your dad.
I do have a rich history with my dad, yes.
But not at Disneyland.
Not at Disneyland. No, he's never been there.
Oh my God. That's rich right there.
There you go. We didn't know that that Disneyland existed, really. It was like, they cut to that weird small castle on the Christmas special. Who's standing at the weird one this year? But yeah, Dan, I hope you get some good feels and some good times out of your next trip coming up. Walt's apartment was great. I'm looking forward to our trip, which it'll be fun. Jimmy and I, this is going to be the second time we'll be going to Disneyland Dry, because I did that a few years ago due to some liver issues that have resurfaced. And so I'm taking some time off of drinking too. It's all sorts
Yay.
It's super boring.
So
yeah,
I guess between all of this, listener, if you've been wondering why we have been kind of loosey-goosey with the release schedules on all of our podcasts and whatnot, there you go.
There you have it. Speaking for myself, I'm in a very good place. Arguably the best place that I've been mentally for a long time. So I'm back. I know we're working on it. I know you've heard that before, but I think we'll get back to a more regularly scheduled programming. And then we're going to get into this appellate process, especially after Haunted Mansion reopens with the new queue and everything else, and Tiana's opens. We have to do an episode about that. So things will continue, and then we're going to have to go back and relitigate Space Mountain and some of the other stuff that we started the show with before we really found our voices. So, Eric, I'm excited to spend time with you and Dan at Disneyland. It'll be really fun. You're both two of my favorite people, and I'm very excited to spend it with you. So, okay. So moving on to Disneyland Forward. I think I'd mentioned, don't really want to make this a speculative podcast. This is not a news podcast, but it's a big deal and moment in time, snapshot in time. City Council's approved it. And there's been some chat about Avatar, and there's been some speculation of different properties for what's going where. Is it a third theme park? Is there going to be a third gate? What is the west side between the hotels going to be? So, Dan, I'm going to let you kind of tee this one up and kick it off of how this segment is going to go. So go ahead. What is Disneyland Forward, Dan?
Disneyland Forward is the thing that they put together with Anaheim. We've talked about this before, so if you want to know the details, listen to previous episodes or look it up. We're going to get into the fun part, which is speculation. And I kind of floated this idea with the other two hosts, who I don't know why I'm
David and Ryan. Those other two hosts.
No, you two. I don't know why my brain is not working currently. Basically, I want to try to. So the one of the premises of this is that we have some ideas of what's going to be happening, some loose, kind of vague. It's kind of the whole thing's kind of beyond Thunder Mountain at this point. All we really know is that they now have the ability to do whatever they want with the land, right? And we know what the lands, what the properties are, the physical like land properties are that they're going to be dealing with, but nobody really has any firm idea of what exactly is going to happen. So I thought it would be fun for us to come up with very, very firm predictions about what we think will happen. Now, by that, I don't mean that like we're going to go down to like, okay, and then there's going to be a popcorn cart here. Like if there's vague space in your mind about like what it's going to be, great. But like, if you have any predictions, like I think that this is going to go in this park or this part is going to become this. Make those firm predictions and we're sticking with them. So, because there's nothing out there other than just they're doing Pandora. So, okay, where is it going to go? What's going to become of the Toy Story lot? Like some of the notes I have are like, they're going to put this there and this is why. But I don't really have like what that entire space is going to be. So basically, like if you make a prediction, it is a firm prediction. But if you don't know, you don't know, and that's fine. And we can maybe go forward and think about whoever gets the most correct gets a prize.
Ooh,
some kind.
Between the three of us?
Between the three of us.
Okay.
Or whatever, we can come up with something. So if
All
you
right, I'm going to set some ground rules.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I'm going to set a time limit on this discussion so we don't get too far down in the weeds. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not going to say what the time limit is, but I'm setting it. Thing number 2 is I would like to lay the premise that nothing happens at all until they build a parking structure.
I would agree with that.
Okay. They have to support this expansion, and they cannot support the expansion with the current parking situation. So they have to build a parking structure first. So that's the first thing that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can start. So I'm going to make some broad statements. First of all, you said Avatar. That's a done deal.
Right.
I'm going to say that Avatar is going to go into the Toy Story lot is the one that's south of Pixar Pier or Pixar Hotel.
Wait.
Okay.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So you're thinking it's going to be part of DCA?
Yes.
Okay.
I think
so that would be west of
the westward expansion of these parks in the concept art will not be its own theme park. They will be expansions of existing theme parks. Okay. Avatar Land is going to go west of DCA, and it'll be through a tunnel. They will dig a tunnel under a la Mickey's Toontown, a la Galaxy's Edge, in the Frontierland area. There will be a tunnel using Disney's age-old go from small to big for the big reveal.
Under the street.
So under the street. So they'll go under the street, theme tunnel, again, back to Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios. There will be a tunnel. You'll go from a small space to a big space for a big reveal, and it will be virtually identical to the one in Florida.
Okay.
There's going to be a theme to all of my statements in that they will not do something new. They will only build what they've already built.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with that prediction.
Okay.
There will not be anything that they have not already built or are going to build at Disney World.
Okay. So going forward with this conversation, do we want to go like acreage by like chunk of land by chunk of land? So you said with the thing about west of DCA, Do you want to
Yes.
do the rest of yours, or do we want to go?
Yeah, may as
around?
well. So, so that's just only because I have very little. So, so the predictions are there will be expansions of the existing parks. They will not be a third gate west of the parks. Okay. So surrounding the hotels will be to the southwest will be Avatar Land, and that will be its thing.
Mm-hmm.
Across from Disneyland, west of Galaxy's Edge, Splash Mountain, all of that will be Arendelle and Coco and Kanto. Whatever they build at Disney World with respect to Coco and Kanto will be built at Disneyland. And Frozen Arendelle, like they did in Shanghai, like they did at Disneyland Paris, it's going to be the same thing. Same attractions, same whatever. It's going to be the same because that's this version of Disney, parks and resorts. They did it with Star Wars Land. They did it with it. I don't think they're going to build a Toy Story Land. West of Disneyland is going to be Encanto, Coco, and Frozen.
Okay.
Unrelated to that expansion, but I believe, what is the lot inside of DCA called? Behind
what?
It's an employee lot.
Oh yeah. It's just a lot. I think it's you can't park there anymore.
No, you can't.
Inside DCA. Yeah.
Inside DCA, they will build Wakanda. It'll be a Wakanda outreach center. You know, those ones they build all over the world.
Oh.
It'll be a Wakanda outreach thing. It'll replace whatever's back there, Hollywood, beyond.
So that stuff
Guardians.
behind the Hyperion.
Yes, all that stuff
chunk.
is going to be a Wakanda outreach.
Okay.
Maybe get rid of the Hollywood backlot thing. That's going to be Wakanda outreach, whatever they call that. So it won't be a replica of Wakanda. It'll be some Wakandan run outreach center like they have in San Francisco in the movies and whatever.
Interesting.
So so that was the only exception to what they haven't built before, which is Wakanda, which is probably the least likely to happen. But they're going to build Avatar Land, and it's going to look like Florida. They're going to build Frozen Land, Coco, and Kanto, just like it is in Florida, the other parks, the end.
Any thoughts about, since we're still on Jimmy, what are your thoughts on the Toy Story lot?
I apologize with my ignorance, but where is the Toy Story lot?
It's in Anaheim.
Oh, shoot. All right, let me start over. Okay. No, the Toy Story lot's between the Pixar pals, Mickey and Friends. That's right over there, right?
No.
Oh, in the southeast side.
The southeast, yes. So
I still think it's a water park.
Across Harbor.
I know this is dumb. I'm sticking to it. It's a water park.
All right.
I'm sticking to it.
It's fascinating to me that that prediction that you keep making is sort of like it's like when Fresh Baked David keeps talking about how they're going to get rid of the reservation system. Like, why? Why do you think they're going to? It's adorable that you think that, but I don't know why you think that.
I don't know that they will. And I appreciate that you think it's adorable. Because my sense of this Disney company is that they are trying to make Disneyland into Disney World the best they possibly can. What do they have there? They have all the things I just mentioned, and they have water parks, and they have shopping, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I think it's going to be a water, like Universal did, a water theme park or whatever they call that. So it's a third gate. It's a water park. It's themed, whatever. That's what it's going to be.
Oh, so are you saying like water slides water park or?
Yes.
Okay.
That is what I'm saying.
Okay.
My next thing before I'm done.
Yep.
When they build Avatar across the street, south of the Pixar Pier Hotel, when they do this, what are they now going to call California Adventure? Let me rephrase. They will rename Disney's California Adventure when they build Avatar Land.
Is it going to be, are you thinking a studio?
I'm gonna rephrase it, start from scratch, say they are going to rename this theme park after
but you don't
they
have
build
a firm
Avatar.
prediction as to that's fine.
They
that
will
works.
rename it. It already needs a read theme.
I think that, and I know it's not my turn yet, but on that point, I think that they're going to reframe California Adventure to be about adventures in a California park. I think they're going to embrace the vagueness of it. But
adventures in California?
No, I think it's going to stay the same. I just think that like the framing around it is going to be less about like, hey, come visit California at a Disney park, and more about like, it's an adventure park in California.
Okay.
Like
okay,
basically,
well, again,
yeah. Okay.
It's your turn.
I have a lot. Eric, do you want to go first?
Limit.
Maybe
And
maybe
I have
go
a
before
lot,
Dan's a lot. Okay, go on.
Okay, here we go. I think that the Toy Story parking lot is going to become a version of Fantasy Springs. I don't know if they're going to call it Fantasy Springs, but I think it's going to be in that vein. And I think Pandora is going to go there. And I think Frozen's going to go there. I think they're going to have Peter Pan stuff.
Wait. Fantasy Springs is a theme park land in Shanghai?
Disney Sea, I think.
Disney Sea, yes.
Oh, Sea. I'm sorry. Okay, so it's not Fantasy Land, it's Fantasy Springs,
Fantasy
and there
Springs.
you are going to have. Go ahead.
But
is this a third gate?
Adventures. I think it's a third gate.
Okay, go ahead.
And I think that the reason they put Pandora, Frozen, and Peter Pan stuff in there is that Disney learned from the opening of DCA to avoid assuming people would go to a new theme park just because it's new. So they need big draws like Frozen and Pandora to give people a reason to visit like at least once. And I think Peter Pan's there to bring in some really solid. I think it's going to be like Pandora's like the adult adventure e-ticket stuff, and then Frozen and Peter Pan is like the play areas. And I think we still get.
But does Peter Pan's flight in Fantasyland stay all of Star Tours?
Yes. Because I think that it's going to be a way. I'm thinking that they're going to try to think of as many ways as possible to draw people into this park using things that they already have. And at Fantasy Springs, they have a Peter Pan play area. I think that's going to be there. It's a property that's popular, even though it's probably going to be problematic in about 15 years, but whatever. Has that ever stopped them? No, it hasn't. So they're going to do that. And I think Frozen is a big draw there. I think that the Garden Walk is going to suddenly need to sell to somebody, and some kind of conveyance between Mickey and Friends and the Eastern expansion structure, which I think is going to be called Adventurers Parking Structure. That's going to exist, and Garden Walk will become like a free version of Main Street, meaning that like you could go and shop, but it's also going to kind of sort of unofficially operate as an entry statement for the third gate, meaning that the actual like line to get in, the entrance will be over Catella. So you're kind of like using that dead space for dead things like lines. I think west of DCA, they're going to build a Silicon Valley area, which will contain an edutational ride about communication in the vein of Spaceship Earth, because it's high capacity, indoor, slow moving with animatronics. DCA needs that. And I think that they're going to build Tron in that area. And they can theme it directly to the movie because they go to a Silicon Valley place in the movie. I also think that the Tron nightclub experience will return. And I also think that this area, there's going to be more stuff, but these are the things I'm willing to commit to. I also think that this area is going to be very focused on food festival stuff, because that's proven to be very popular at DCA, but it is also a crowd jamming nightmare.
Okay, can you start over with but where in DCA is this?
What? DCA across, I think there's going to be a bridge across
not under.
Across and under, because
and you're
it's
going to build a
California,
Spaceship
so
Earth?
No, they're going to build a ride. They're not going to build a structure of Spaceship Earth. They're going to build a ride similar to the ride content of Spaceship Earth, but maybe not
the communication concept or the
maybe
technology
not
concept.
Right. Maybe not like deep history, but the theme is going to be communications and technology. Because,
will it be an Omnimover?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so festival arena a la Epcot. I'm with you. You lost me at Tron. Too big of a
I think
footprint.
that's how we get Tron, because I don't know how you could get it in Tomorrowland. And I think we know it's coming. And I think that if you make it about like kind of like where the movie starts, where it's like we're breaking into this place and now you're in the world of Tron, that is a perfect way to get Tron into DCA. It basically make it not about like this is a futuristic ride, and make it about, computers are scary now. Food festival. I think that Pixar Hotel will connect as an entry and exit only to this part of the park. And I suspect it's going to be more of a nightlife-y, more like adult forward kind of thing. Not like, Daisy can have like her boobs out or anything like that, but like, like more like this is a place to hang out for adults to like, dance at the Tron Dance Club and do whatever they do.
And this is all going to be south of the Pixar Hotel. They're not going to change the theme of the Pixar Hotel into this adult history of communication, Tron, nightlife.
Because I'm part of the speculation is that the Pixar Hotel kind of matches the Silicon Valley idea. I think there might be I don't think the whole place is going to be Silicon Valley, but I think that this will be included. And I think that that's where we get Tron. And I think that that's how we get our entry into the Pixar, the gateway into and out of Pixar Hotel, because Silicon Valley, it's like there's a connection.
Where's Avatar going?
Avatar is going to the third park.
Oh, you said Avatar, Frozen, Peter Pan.
Yeah, Pandora, Frozen, Peter Pan. Mm-hmm. Avatar is Pandora.
They don't have enough room.
There's a lot more room than you think there.
Yeah, but the Toy Story lot is, I read today, 50 acres smaller than DCA.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a compact park, which is why I think they're going to put some of the big stuff in there. Big in terms of like heavy hitters, really attractive, like Pandora, Frozen, Peter Pan play area. I think it's going to be like a lot of bang for your buck in that.
I'm changing my mind.
Hold on, let me finish.
Well, hold on. I'm just interjecting because of what you said.
Okay.
Move to Toy Story. That becomes your shopping dine. That's your Disney Springs. And then all the stuff that's existing now is expansion theme park. The end. Go ahead.
I think that we get our shopping area by Disney buying Garden Walk.
Mm-hmm.
I think Garden Walk is going to suddenly have a family emergency. All of their grandparents are going to die, and they're going to be like, "Oh, my dog ate my homework, and on my grandparents' side, oh no, we never planned for this." And then Disney's going to be like, "Well, I guess we have to take this opportunity." So west of Disneyland, I have less, but I think it's definitely going to connect to the Disneyland Hotel, only for hotel guests. And I think that there will be, I suspect that they are going to say Encanto and Coco have to go together because clearly they are the same thing. They're not the same thing.
Well, and the reason I thought that too, Dan, was, and this, I don't know, whatever this
reason
sounds
why you
like,
thought they were the same thing?
No, that I thought that they would build Coco and Encanto also because there's a lot of Latin American influences in Southern California, used to be part of Mexico, et cetera. I think there's enough of a local appeal since it is a locals park.
Oh, I completely agree with you.
As racist as that might sound.
Right.
I mean, neither one is set in Mexico. Oh, no, right. Coco is.
Coco is. And that's why, so where I'm going with this is I'm thinking like, okay, we're coming from Critter Country into this new area, right? So what would make sense to me thematically would be to then have Encanto, because it's all, you have foresty stuff, and then you could go to jungly foresty stuff. And that's how you get to Encanto. And I want to resist saying that Coco will also be there because I don't want to imply that they're both Mexican. But that's the way this company thinks about these properties. So Coco will probably also be there, but I'm not going to commit to that part. I am going to commit to Encanto being west of Disneyland. And I think that they're just going to deal with that by making it kind of Adventureland Part 2. Like, it's just going to be more jungle, more foresty stuff, more, because Adventureland, in terms of like making more jungly themed stuff, they're stuck. They can't do anything else. And this gives them more space to do that kind of theming stuff. And all of the, I think also, why didn't I put this in my notes? I'm so glad I remembered. I think, here it is. The bad parts of Hollywood area will become Zootopia, meaning the backlot area. It's going to be Zootopia land. Why do I think this? Because they have the monorail, and the monorail is a problem for whatever goes there. And in Zootopia, there is a monorail. So done, fixed. And I think that they want to build a Zootopia land because the Zootopia characters are already in DCA as photo ops. And I think that Monsters is going to go away because it's not that good of a ride. They all know it's not that good of a ride, and they can replace it with something better. And let's see, what else do I have? I also think, this is the final thing, I think Black Panther Wakanda ride will be the e-ticket, the new e-ticket for Avengers Campus. Because
there you go.
They have nothing. They keep changing their minds. They got nothing. They know they want to include Wakanda. This gets them there. And I like, Jimmy, your idea of them doing like a Wakanda outreach center. Maybe they build behind. So maybe they build some of that behind Marvel Avengers Campus. But I don't think that we're going to have like Hollywood Land and then Avengers stuff on either side. I think we're going to have. I think that Hollywood Drive is going to become kind of an extension of the entrance, to where like you still have the animation building, you still have the Hyperion, but everything else gets changed into Zootopia on one side and more Marvel stuff on the other side.
So it sounds like we're aligned in that everything you're proposing, with the exception of I'm going to say with the exception of the Spaceship Earth concept of the communication thing, is, like I said, all properties that they've already built somewhere else.
Right. But the Spaceship Earth thing, and again, I'm not saying they're going to build the giant globe, but the Spaceship Earth concept, that kind of ride has been shown to be, a reliable, popular thing to do in other parks. And DCA
but
really
a nostalgic thing. I mean, part of the allure of Spaceship Earth is because it's Spaceship Earth. It's inside the weenie of the park, and it's been there for decades, and it constantly breaks down. And
let me explain how I got there, and maybe that'll make sense. How I got there is I'm looking at, what does DCA need? And DCA needs more long form experiences. They need more animatronics, because they have like maybe one animatronic in the whole park. And this is a way for us to get there. You use a concept that is already proven and already exists. Maybe you don't go through the whole history of communication. We don't have like papyrus, but I think it'll be thematically adjacent to like a Spaceship Earth kind of thing. And I think that having it, and the reason I think it'll be communications is because I think that that's going to tie into the Silicon Valley area, which is how we get it. It basically starts with, how do we get Tron to DCA? Okay, well, Silicon Valley exists. Why don't we have Tron be part of a Silicon Valley experience? And that way, the way that you get through the pre-show is a different experience. You're like breaking into the factory or whatever. And then you get sucked into the world of Tron, just like the original movie. And then all of a sudden, no, you have to get shot out of a cannon or whatever. I think that's how we get to Tron. And then I kind of added in the other thing of like, okay, well, we also need something that is air conditioned and can take 15 to 20 minutes of people in a ride. Slow conveyance, and that's basically how I got there, because it wouldn't be hard for them to just go like, I don't know, to build a flat Spaceship Earth, basically.
Yeah, they need a lot of geography. So, question: will they take a page out of the Epic Universe book and be able to block off these sections for corporate parties and that kind of thing?
I mean, just by the geography of it, I think that's a given.
Yeah.
I suppose that would be possible.
Eric,
yeah.
we're coming up against my time limit. You have anywhere between 1 and 12 minutes. It's your turn. What do you think is going to happen, and why am I right?
Damn you guys. I was about to start playing the Dan is rambling music. Anyway, here's what's up. Similar to what you were saying, Jimmy, we need parking. Part of one of the earlier releases, while Disney was kind of pushing Disneyland Forward, was an eastern parking structure. I say we take the Pumbaa parking lot and we throw together one of the biggest parking structures they've ever made. And hey, you know what's right south of there? It's this garden walk place that nobody cares about. Dan's got some great ideas there. I enjoy the idea of that suddenly people have been talking about Disney buying this longer than I've been going to Disneyland, which is not a long time, but still. It's suddenly Downtown Disney Part 2, and that's the direct way to get into the new third gate, which I'm kind of on Dan's side there with the Fantasy Springs, where we put in these properties that are, maybe we can make it a little more kid-like. It's definitely going to be popular stuff. If you've seen the Hong Kong and the Hong Kong World of Frozen, and if you've seen images of what they're working on with Fantasy Springs, it's a perfect way of building a new artificial berm around the outside of this area. One of the issues that I've heard about from a few different places is that there are noise considerations, because there were these noise studies that Disney was doing about a year ago. I think we talked about it on Ears Up, where they were basically seeing how noisy certain rides were and how far away they were from certain things. So I believe there were some concessions made as part of Disneyland Forward that would include noise, which means anything that's close to a neighborhood can't be noisy. And there are certain restrictions about how far away attractions have to be from residential places. So some of these areas are perfect because it's not residential, it's hotels, it's businesses. We don't have to worry about putting something crazy in that back corner that, like you're talking about, Jimmy, where you wanted to put the Wakanda Welcome Center, because you've got hotels nearby, you've got Catella Avenue, you've got Harbor. That doesn't matter. What you do have to worry about is the south end of the Toy Story lot, where there are homes. You have to worry about the far west side, where there are also homes. I say Toy Story lot becomes more of the small. It is a smaller space, but we cram in some smaller attractions, cluster them toward the center or in the northwest side. You still want to draw people in, so you still have to have something down there. So something indoors. Maybe that's where you get the World of Frozen stuff, where you can simulate a cold environment indoors. That sort of idea. Let's see. Heading across the way, I love expanding, taking all of the Hollywood stuff and making it New York. Make it New York City. Expand.
New York City.
Get a rope.
I don't know how the Carthay Circle works there, but expand the Avengers stuff so we can have this. We can finally build out the e-ticket, whatever that's going to be, but then expand into the other region over there where we've got the Hyperion Theater, we've got Mike and Sully to the rescue, we've got large buildings that they sometimes use for something. We've got plenty of space in that area for more Marvel stuff. So basically, we've got a Marvel mini park that's more than just one restaurant, a few food carts, and some shows. Dan.
And part of what we're not mentioning too is that where the buses come in currently on that east side, north of currently Monsters, that they don't need that anymore because they can have all of that in the eastern gateway.
You know what they have
that could
instead?
Become part.
You know what they have instead in that area, Dan? In that chunk of the Esplanade.
Yeah.
What's that?
He's thought of this.
I have thought of this.
He's given this thought.
Yes, I have given this thought. What they have instead is a Skyway station. Skyliner station.
Skyliner.
So the Skyliner can bring people directly from the eastern parking structure across harbor to get directly
that solves
onto
the
the
harbor
Esplanade.
problem. So you can still access harbor.
Right. Or you could walk through the new downtown. You can walk through downtown Disney East to access the third gate.
Oh, yeah.
You can also take the Skyliner all the way across downtown Disney to the Disneyland Hotel and all the wonders down that way. Now, before we move from the east side, you know what we could do? Let's I guess we're investing in Autopia, so we're probably not going to get rid of Autopia. You know what we can get rid of is a large circular building, and
my favorite thing in Tomorrowland. How dare you?
The large circular building with nothing to do in it, and a pizza place that we can figure something to do with. We could put a thrill ride like Tron in Tomorrowland right there. It can go over the Autopia. It can weave around that whole region. We don't have to worry about a thrill ride being close to the neighborhood because across the street is hotels.
Yep. It's brilliant. That's where Tron goes.
It's not completely my idea. I've heard many wild rumors, but that's the one I like. West Side.
Just out of curiosity, how wild of a rumor is that you've heard? I'm not trying to like debate it. I'm just trying to figure out where are you hearing this?
I have heard wild rumors. The one that makes me go, "Oh crap, that could work," is from the Disney History Institute.
Interesting.
Because Todd James Pierce knows his stuff.
Okay.
And if he thinks he's the one that was talking about on his most recent episode about the noise restrictions and how far away people like residential areas had to be from certain things. So that would take care of that. And that was his theory. And I'm grabbing onto that one. I think that's fantastic.
Okay.
Because I've heard other people come up with like random stuff like, hey, we'll put Tron somewhere in Tomorrowland. I think that's the reason why you put Tron in Tomorrowland, or that's the reason why you make it work. Dan, I love your idea of expanding under Disneyland Drive, which is one of the Disneyland Drive and Magic Way, which are roads that Disney is trying to buy from the city of Anaheim. Going underneath through Critter Country into another kid area. I think you could have a whole, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what you would expand to there, but it could be the Zootopia area that they're already building elsewhere. Again, Jimmy, I love the idea of we've got to repurpose these attractions that we're doing around the world. It's cheaper, it's easier, and put it into this small space that's currently parking for hotels. We've got new places for people to park for hotels. We've got these giant parking structures to the north, and they could develop a public transit way to get around. Now, I like the Skyliner idea just because it's easier to install. They're big pylons.
Totally. It's really easy.
You don't have to expand
Doesn't
the
take up
monorail.
any geography.
Right. It's why they're not going to expand the monorail at Walt Disney World. It's too expensive to do the monorail, but you could. I like the idea. I think there's a possibility that they could add a spur of the Skyliner that goes to Coronado Springs, making that a real hotel that people want to stay at, and then going all the way out to Animal Kingdom. I think that's a definite idea for the future. But
I don't think they'll ever go to Disney Springs, but that's another story.
Yeah, that is another story. I'm not sure what to do with the Southwest. I haven't. There's got to be something to do that's more kid stuff for DCA, because we can expand the kiddie stuff for Disneyland. DCA, you're right, Dan. It needs more animatronics. It needs more dark rides. It needs more things to do. And going that direction, you're heading toward a neighborhood, so it's got to be indoors, and it's got to be insulated from the neighborhood. I don't know exactly what they could do there, but I think having some more kid themed things would be, maybe that's where they put the Zootopia stuff, because that looks like big buildings around the outer edge of that area from the videos I've seen.
I mean, to your point, Eric, we know they're doing Avatar. Mm-hmm. We know that parking lot's going away. We know
Yeah, where's that
that
going?
parking lot's going away. And that show building in Florida is all enclosed.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it's going.
Maybe that's what I was. Yeah, maybe that's where I originally thought about that. Because
one of the reasons I really think that Avatar isn't going into DCA is because we have Soren. But that didn't stop them from building web slingers.
I'm just saying, Dan. It was dumb before it finished. Before you finished the sentence.
We could also put Avatar past Critter Country. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a big area. It seems like, from everything I've heard, it's going to be a Way of the Water attraction, which means it's going to be a boat ride indoors.
All right.
Wait. So, are you thinking they don't bring Flight of Passage as part of it?
I think they absolutely do.
I don't think they do. I think they do a completely different.
I mean, have you seen Flight of Passage? How much footage is there that is in that movie, The Way of Water? There's so much Way of Water footage in there.
That's true. There is a lot, but I think they're going to do.
And it's a movie, so you just change the movie.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think they do. I think they do a boat ride.
Well, they'd have one in Florida too.
I suppose
they do both.
But it's lame, and it's right underneath the other.
I'm just saying they're doing the same thing. They're building the same.
That's fair. It is a massive building.
It is.
We did try to map that up before.
And just for the listener, and we're
done.
5 minutes over our time. For the listener, Eric, you said that someone told you that the Toy Story lot is 50 acres smaller than DCA. DCA being a 60-acre theme park, so it's 10 acres. What?
50 acres? Did I write down the number wrong?
I think so, because I think DCA may be 45 acres.
Maybe I wrote down the wrong.
Maybe 15 is the number.
5.
Anyway, past show correction.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
that was
we're not
fun.
I'm not gonna past show correct that because I'm not gonna look it up.
Okay, great. Anyway, so I think that was fun. Thank you. And did we have any closing statements? Anything new that has come up since we've been talking for the last 35 minutes?
My closing statement is that I love Avatar. It's my favorite movie.
Great. You're not alone.
I watched The Way of Water last week. Hey,
yeah,
we've got some mail.
We have a mailbag of mail.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's time for the mailbag of mail. That's where all the mail goes, in the bag. And then I close the bag, and then I open the bag. And now now the bag's closed. You see it's closed. And I'm going to open it up. And look what we have in here. We have a letter. It's a handwritten letter with lipstick kisses on it from Toy Soldier Mike. He says, "Hey, Jimmy. Thanks for reading my mail last episode. I'm a little confused, though. I listened to 117 episodes. Have we done that many episodes?
Yeah.
More than. Yeah.
More.
This was in March.
Where's our 100th episode?
Yeah, great question.
Over the past 3+ months, but I haven't heard a new one in a few weeks. I thought you came out with a new episode every day. Anyway, stay safe out there and be kind to one another. Fresh Baked." He has a picture of Fresh Baked guy doing the Fresh Baked salute. That is from Toy Soldier Mike. That's all I got in the. What do you have to say about that? I think we kind of covered that, right?
I think we covered the reason why the not so new episodes, but thank you for your loyalty, Toy Soldier Mike. Eric, there was another message about love.
Yes, there was a message about love because I've been talking to Mike.
This is now Eric's mailbag of mail.
That's right.
Do you have music for that?
There we go.
And I've been talking to Mike about being on the hub crawl, and we'll eventually get the schedule worked out where he will be on that. But he did refer to TSR as his long lost love.
Aww. We love you too, Mike.
We sure
and
do.
You. Everybody else thinks I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to you. Okay. Thank you.
Zip it up, there it goes. Goodbye.
All right. So for our final topic today, I would like to talk about some small things that are different between Disneyland and Disney World, and perhaps what's better between the two. And one thing that kind of kept coming up, and we talked about it a little bit, but I want to talk about condiment stations.
You really ran with this.
Yeah. So Eric was recently at Disney World. You've listened to the last couple episodes, while he was there, he was vehemently photographing condiment stations. For those of you who have never been to Disney World, go to, think of Tomorrowland Terrace, right? But make it, is that what it's still called? Galactic Grill? Galactic Grill.
At Disneyland. Yeah.
At Disneyland.
Yeah.
So put that in a giant building with a robot animatronic from Unork City.
They've listened to the episode. They know.
Yeah. So, you're getting your burger at the Galactic Grill and you go get a ketchup packet or mustard or mayonnaise or whatever. You go to the, let's call that the equivalent at Disney World in Cosmic Rays Starlight Cafe. And in addition to those condiments that you have in pump stations, you also have shredded lettuce and sliced tomatoes and onions and grilled onions.
Is this
and pickles.
more than just Pecos Bill?
Yeah.
I hate
Galactic Grill's got, Pecos Bill. Sorry, Eric, shut me down.
I hate to break it to you, Jimmy, but
break it.
We got to break it down here because currently the condiment station it's the same stainless steel structure with the sneeze guard over it, but inside it's a bunch of there are 2 sad pumps of ketchup. And then a whole bunch of containers of packets of mustard, mayo, relish.
Bummer.
Yeah, the veritable
lettuce,
salad
pickles.
station.
I want to do a current show correction though, because what you're describing, Jimmy, is not really so much of condiment station as it is a fixin' station.
Fixins, excuse me.
Yeah.
But you don't have
those of you
stations at Disneyland.
who've watched Eastbound and Down, that's fixins.
Fixins.
Have you seen that show?
So I have not. Eric, so having recently been, and forgive me because I thought it was still there. I know COVID did away with a lot of stuff, but I thought it came back. Are there fixin stations anywhere at Disney World?
Not exactly. At the Polite Pig in Disney Springs,
some barbecue sauce.
They do have a multi-pump, multi-barbecue station,
multi-variety.
There's a large variety of pumps. You can have everything under the sun, like barbecue ranch. There's Southern Gold, sweet sauce. I can't read some of these. Porter sauce, made with beer, and there's even a pump for mayonnaise.
And I bet they have Tapatio, and we could make Manateo.
Oh, we sure can.
They do have hot sauce right next to it. So they don't have Tapatio, but they have a similar.
Did you make it over to Pecos Bills, Eric, before it becomes Tiana's?
I did not go into Pecos Bills this time. I didn't think about witnessing their fixins.
Because I think they did away with the fixin station there too.
Mm-hmm.
They have salsa and whatever in packets. Are there no more fixin stations?
Man, everything I saw was just bowls of packets. Even outside Casey's, it was just bowls of packets.
Oh, well, never mind then.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel about the proximity to the shopping district? Disneyland Forward being speculative. Let's talk about what's today. The shopping district at Disneyland is right outside the gates. Do we like that better, or do we like to have that separate on a bus in a shopping district that's by itself?
It makes it a destination. Like you have to unless you're staying at Saratoga Springs or maybe one of the
good neighbors,
like Port Orleans, one of the good neighbors. For if you're not staying there, for us it's like this is the night we're going to make sure we go to the Springs and get some dinner and do our shopping.
We have an afternoon flight on Saturday, we're going to go there in the morning,
right? That sort of thing. Yeah.
So do we like that better?
I think it depends on where I don't think it's a one fix for either, because I think that the way it's set up just works for each one. I don't know how to answer that. I don't think I have an answer, because to me, taking a bus to a shopping district is depressing, and I don't want to do that. but that's purely because of I think where I'm coming from. To me,
did we already do an episode on Genie Plus Landview World?
I don't believe so.
You mean Genie Plus? Oh no, we haven't. We have not done that.
Yeah, because we definitely want to do an episode about the apps, My Disney Experience versus Disneyland app, and their user friendliness. But one of the things I was talking to my kids about, because my oldest went to Disney World with this band in February, and he hasn't been to Disneyland since, I don't know, 2 years ago. One of the things we talked about we're going for 2 days. We're staying for 3 nights at the Disneyland Hotel at the new tower. And,
Ooh.
we were talking about proximity, and I asked this question to my family, like, what are things that you like better or worse? And the thing about Genie Plus at Disneyland is that you could be at It's a Small World riding that ride, have a lightning lane for Incredicoaster on the other side of another theme park, and you could be there in 10 minutes.
True.
And so just that, again, size, let's just take size out of the equation, but the proximity of these things and how much more efficient Genie Plus is and how much more worthwhile it is because you have access to all of these attractions in such a small proximity makes Genie Plus a much more useful, much more valuable for your money.
Yeah. Yeah. I think of course, we never will come up with a conclusive answer of which one's better, right? But I think if there's a theme that's emerging here, I think it really comes down to, are you going to be on vacation for 7 days, or are you going to a theme park for 2 or 3? And I think that if you're going on vacation for 7 days, don't go to Disneyland, go to Southern California. If you're going to, or go to Disney World and don't do anything else. Because you can do that. If you're just theme parking for 2 or 3 days, Disneyland that's a great amount of time to do that anymore, and just go to Knott's.
We had this conversation a little bit with David on our last episode of how long should you go to Disney World. And coincidentally, 2 days later, I had a client refer their in-laws.
Mm.
They've only been to Disneyland. They're West Coasters. They've only ever been to Disneyland, never been to Disney World. They call me, what should we do? How long should we go? This is a client
for what kind of
concierge?
What is concierge, Jimmy?
So concierge is a vacation planning service where you pay no extra. We'll do all the planning for you. I've booked their flights for them. I've booked their vacation package. I'm doing their dining reservations. I'm doing a full touring plan for them who've never been to Disney World before. They're staying at the Swan and Dolphin. I'll give you an example. I said, the best place to stay, they're in their 70s, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've never been to Disney World before. They're only Disneyland people. And so I presume they're going to like Epcot best. So I said, you should stay behind Epcot. Beach Club, Yacht Club, Boardwalk. At the Swalfin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I said, the Boardwalk is great. Like Beach Club, Yacht Club, probably too expensive for what you really want. They're deluxe resorts. Boardwalk, also a deluxe resort, but less expensive because there are more rooms, right? Supply and demand, etc. So I looked at a package for them, and I said, first of all, you want to go to the parks for 5 days. This is your first time. If you want to see everything, go for a month. If you want to get the good gist of Disney World, we really experienced Disney World, but man, there's so much we didn't see. Go for 5 days. Dedicate 1 day per park, still park hop, but just dedicate 1 day per park. There's 4, and then have a 5th floater.
Right.
So get there on a Sunday, leave on a Saturday, spend Monday through Friday at the parks. Stay behind Epcot. We looked at the Boardwalk, and it was $6,200 for them to stay at the Boardwalk, standard room, standard view, 5-day park hopper passes.
That's per night.
And then I said, so 60, they were like, great, that sounds good. Let's book it. And then I said, okay, now the wife in this scenario said, how do we avoid kids? And I said, you don't go to Disney World. And she said, well, I've been around kids. I used to teach, whatever. I just don't want them in my face all the time. I said, okay, well, what you do instead, $6,200 is in your budget. That's great. So let's look next door. Literally next door is the Swan and Dolphin. They're Marriott properties. They're on Disney property. You have the same access to Epcot. You have the same access to Hollywood Studios on the Skyliner or the Friendships or whatever. It's a nice room, recently renovated. The Dolphin Hotel is a Sheraton property. You can stay there the same amount of time, same views, same access to the boardwalk, same access to everything else. It's $4,200.
Oh.
So they were able to save $2,000 because I understood them as people. I understood what their needs are. And because it's a convention hotel, there will be less children just by nature of the property. So anyway, that's kind of an advertisement for concierge. Just, once we get to kind of know what you're into, what you want, we just saved them $2,000. Their flights total round trip are $1,000. So before they, after they buy food and whatever else, they'll end up having a vacation that will have cost them the same amount as just the hotel and theme parks if they were to stay at the boardwalk, which is 200 feet away. Anyway, don't remember what the original point was.
Well, while you're thinking of the original point, I just want to point out to our listeners that because we're two out of the three of us are pretty sure that Garden Walk is going to be purchased by Disney, that means that you have a short amount of time to visit such stores as Factory Extreme Clothing Store, where you can get knockoff, how dare you, knockoff studio gear, S. Preston Art and Designs, Primrose Market Boutique, Yaya Formosa Gift Shop, Mystical Gifts and Souvenirs, All My Tea, King Coffee, 528 Design Studio. It's a do-it-yourself shop, according to Google Maps. Argo Store, it's where you can get pet supplies. You know, Argo, you've heard of it. Meeple's Family Game Store, Ride Maker's Toy Store. I believe there's probably stuff with marbles there. Case Mac Wireless.
Eric, what do you like different about Disney World and Disneyland? Have you thought of any?
An ATM machine.
An ATM machine. An ATM, an access to money machine?
Yes.
Eric, have you thought of any small differences between Disneyland and Disney World you want to highlight?
Heat Ultra Lounge.
Oh my goodness.
It's hard to believe that property is going to go out of business.
Right?
Yeah. All of those, including places like Ride Makers that used to be, that's with a Z, that used to be in downtown Disney and got booted.
Oh,
yeah.
So did House of Blues. Dan, remember Roy's Hawaiian Fusion pineapple martinis at the bar?
Yep. I won't say anything more about it, but I do remember.
That was the infamous night of hailing the taxi. Anyway, Eric, what small things have you noticed? You just recently went to Disney World. You've spent more time at Disneyland of late.
There's also Liberty X Bitcoin ATM.
Oh, geez. Can you get Bitcoin out of that ATM?
Maybe. Let's see.
That'd be fun.
Head on over, Dan.
Eric?
Hop on that train. I mean, really, we've kind of talked about a lot of this recently. It was fun shepherding David and his family through the Walt Disney World app, and it was fun talking to Concierge Mike, who hasn't been to Disneyland in many years and is planning for this trip that's coming up in a few weeks, and telling him things about the Disneyland app, where he's like, so wait, what do you mean you guys don't bring magic bands? I'm like, well, you can, but nobody really does. And vice versa with David. I mean, we talked about all that stuff with David, but it's now fun having the opposite conversation with Mike, where he runs a travel company, and some of these details he hasn't had to deal with personally. He's like, this is why I have Disneyland experts on staff. I don't do those anymore. So we'll need to do an app versus app.
Yes, we'll do an app episode. We'll do a Disney or Genie Plus episode. We will do part of the conversation that I asked my family about these differences. My wife brought up Refreshment Corner versus Casey's Corner.
I love
both basically glorified hot dog stands.
Oh,
with
it's
piano
going to be great.
outside.
I can't wait for that one
episode.
The Yokai Express ramen in Garden Walk has 3 stars.
Jimmy suggested Wishing Wells. I like the Wishing
Wells. That might be a fun little episode.
I don't know if that's a full episode, but
no,
because spoiler alert, Walt Disney World, you might say, where is it? And he would not be wrong.
That's correct. But there is one.
There's like a bucket that you could put coins in, right? Somewhere
there is a wishing well.
Bucket.
There's no Snow White.
What is everywhere there's a body of water, people are chucking coins in there.
Yeah. I don't understand the fascination with it either.
Yeah.
But anyway, Dan, any other thoughts, Disneyland, Disney World differences?
On this specific topic, the shopping thing, I got nothing. But I don't know. I'm just fascinated by Garden Walk currently. I think you've lost me to that.
Condiments.
Really
Brandy and I are dinner people or lunch. We like to go to restaurants and we like to shop. So we have depends on our trip. If we're alone, then we're going to spend a lot of time, and it's nice and easy to get to. I mean, you got to walk through downtown Disney if you're staying nearby, and it's a little bit of a pain to getting over to Disney Springs sometimes. Unless you're there for a long trip and you want to devote hours.
Yep. 5 days.
I'm just not a merch person. I mean, and it's
I don't know
not
where
like
this merch thing came from. I don't know. That was never a topic.
It's not necessarily merch, like just shopping.
Oh, we were just talking about the
shopping in general.
Adjacent.
Yeah.
That's
doesn't
not
have to be Disney merch.
I don't think that's even that's not even a part of my park going experience.
In your wheelhouse. Yep.
Yeah, it really isn't.
All right, we were talking about condiments. We were talking about shopping adjacent. We were talking about Genie Plus. Just little things like that. Is there anything that sticks out to you? It's like when you go to Disneyland, do you think, oh man, it would be nice if something Disney World?
I think variety of cuisine options. We could easily lose a hamburger place and have like a decent ramen. The ramen at the hotel sucks. Like an actual good ramen place would be great. You know, like stuff like that.
All right. Okay. Well, so do either of you have any other topics before we close up the old show bag?
The show bag of show.
I'd like to relitigate the Haunted Mansion right now.
Okay. 1966. Original concept art in 1956 showed a haunted house just off of Main Street. Buddy Baker was anyway.
What do you think about the new Haunted Mansion lounge that they're putting onto the Disney Treasure?
Yeah, I don't follow cruise ships very well.
I think that the more places they can put as many references as possible to my favorite ride, the Haunted Mansion, because I'm an interesting person, is it doesn't water down the property one bit. I say just put it everywhere.
Is this going to be the Trader Sam's of Haunted Mansion?
I think it's going to be more obnoxious because...
Yeah. And is it also a proving ground for the theme parks?
Ooh, I think it might... Well, the treasure is supposed to be done and having its maiden voyage this winter. So, I mean, they're going to have a fish tank with ghost fish in it, and there is going to be a mystery. And they're bringing in the captain. If you know your mansion lore, you know the captain was originally supposed to be a guy, the captain and his bride.
Mm-hmm. They're Pirates of the Caribbean bar across from Pirates of the Caribbean at Disney World. That's a thing. All right. The final piece of speculation, Dan, Fantasmic is coming back. What is the dragon going to be?
I think it's going to be the dragon.
Same one?
Well, different model. Okay.
Clearly.
I think that they probably put some thought into how to close this thing. And they thought we need to, and this is based on nothing other than just a tangent I went on last night because it occurred to me that I'm going to be there the reopening weekend of Fantasmic. And those of you who have listened to every episode know how much I love that show. I think they probably went through a process where they were like, okay, we clearly need to like clear up the charred remains of this Murphy, and we need to come up with a whole new finale. And then, okay, well, that involves re-recording everything, and that involves like reimagining stuff, and it's a big deal. And what do we get to like replace this big moment? And they've said before they're going to reimagine it, and they've heavily implied that it's not going to be anything involving a dragon. And then we haven't heard anything. And this thing's opening next weekend. If they had a replacement, that we would have heard from Disney Parks and Imagination and Storytelling and Glorious Magic Wishes why we should be excited about this new thing.
So you're saying
we haven't heard anything.
There's no hullabaloo. They're just going to have a water screen with a projection of...
No, I think that they thought this through, and they thought, what if we just like made everything fireproof and brought back Murphy in a fireproof version, and let's like jam up the holes where they shoot the Cremora out or whatever. And if we don't say anything, people are going to lose their supreme when they see this thing return. And this is far better and probably more cost effective in the long run than reimagining this whole coming up with a new thing, reimagining it, disappointing people because people will be disappointed by it. I think this is the path of least resistance, is just figure out a way to bring it back. Because we know this company. If they were going to change anything, basically it's either Murphy, miscreen of Murphy, or nothing else.
Which
because
is already
if they were going
right?
Yeah, but they've said before it won't be miscreen, so they can't go back on that.
Okay.
Well, that still could be me B mode. Dan,
Maybe.
when this episode comes out, as you're listening to this, the Phantasmic's already open. So
Right.
you already know what the show is.
Yes. And it was wonderful.
Yes. And as we're recording this, Dan, are the pirates gone and is it back to Peter Pan?
It's back to Peter Pan.
Okay.
And they've already talked about that. But I really think, I mean, you know this company. If they had come up with any replacement that was an action
we hear all about it.
We would have heard about, like, you're not going to believe the way Tinkerbell, gets a BBL and it bounces all over the stage and Mickey fights her because, I don't know. Like,
what's a BBL? I hear that
Brazilian butt lift.
Okay, thank you.
Oh.
It's where they take fat from other parts of your body and squirt it into your butt. But it's a more medical procedure than what I just sounded.
All right. Anything else about Phantasmic before we close it up?
I've seen Phantasmic once.
Hey, are we going to see it when we're together in June? Is it going to be open?
It'll be open.
Are they going to be showing it in the weekdays?
Yeah. That's summer.
Oh,
Every day is a weekend when it's summer.
Let's do it. All right.
Everybody listening. Magic happens.
Whatever you want, Dan. I'll be there and I'm ready to stay up. Listener, thank you for listening. Thank you for your patience with us as we sort through, things that are unrelated to this show.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate your support and your love. And that's it. Concierge is 856 Our Ears. You heard about the vacation planning. You too could potentially save money if you talk to the right people. They have a group of phenomenal vacation planners, most of them better than me. But thank you for reaching out to me if you ever do. Thank you for the Rohrback family for recently booking the aforementioned trip to Disney World. I can't say the dates because they haven't told their kids yet. And thank you, Dan and Eric. Were there other shows? The Supreme Resort is the one you're listening to. Scraping the Vault, the penultimate episode of whatever it was. What did you
Fox
call it, Eric? The Fox and the Hound 2 just came out. Cinderella 3 is the next episode.
The culmination.
Right. The culmination of the podcast. And then the Bantha Milk Boys and the Puny Pod, I've asked to be on the Thor Ragnarok episode because that was my introduction to the MCU in earnest.
Wow.
So I requested to be a part of that episode. And listen to Bowie-splaining also on all of your favorite podcast catcher apps.
Mm-hmm.
And also listen to The Hub Crawl with our favorite Eric.
Bowie-splaining, we just released our Pinups album, and Eric and I loved that album very much.
And we introduced a new game.
Excellent.
The Shapes of Things.
So listen to Bowie-splaining, Hub Crawl, Ears Up, Supreme Resort. That's it, right, Eric? That's all your shows?
Just keep listening. I'm like, yeah.
Just the 4.
Over and over.
Anyway,
Joe
until
Rogan
next time.
Experience. Eric's on that.
The Joe Rogan Experience. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, stay tuned. Keep listening. Next episodes will include in-park madness, some Disneyland adventures. We're going to get to the Hollywoodland final land episodes. We'll get back to relitigating some of the other episodes you know and hate. And yeah, until next time, be good to each other, and court is adjourned.
We also might talk about.
Also After Hours. Listen to After Hours on the Patreon. Here's that Patreon. We have After Hours, which are a lot of fun.
We eventually might get to talk about the Billy B's indoor playground.
But first, you have to join Patreon, which means you have to give Jason money, which is fine. Yeah. You don't have to give $5, and then you get access to After Hours.
I think Dan legit froze the second I hit the theme song.
Oh, I thought he was just being contemplative.
No.
I actually the entire episode.
I actually said things.
After Hours, really, a lot of times we record before, so it's misnomer, but it's still fun.
Don't tell them.
Dan is frozen.
I really hope he comes back because he needs to upload his...
He kind of looks a little disgusted.
I'm talking.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm here.
A little disgusted.
He's reading one of those 1-star reviews again.
Yeah. We don't have a lot of them. We have,
He
what? Scraping the Vault only has 5-star reviews.
Ooh.
Good for them.
Us.
That is good for us.
Scraping the Vault.
Now you're frozen.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're back.
Well, good for it. Well, I'm not one of you. When are you coming on yours up, Scraping the Vault? Here, let me hit stop.
Oh,
Am I actually